Hello, Drunkduckers. This is Ozone Ocean, coming to you live, or not really, on our pre-recorded version of the Quackcast. So today we're going to talk about stuff. This is Quackcast number 782. I'm Ozone Ocean. With me are Baines and Tanserine. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Yay, we're all on board. So we're talking about character tropes, or like cliches, and how they all exist in reality. How all the dumbest, silliest, craziest ones are actually real, even though we think they're like and it's popularly sort of like talked about that they're fictional. No, they're all real. Okay, theme song.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, we're back now. The theme song. No, we've done that. Alright, so now it is time for Quackcast to tell us about summer to winter. Quai, tell us about summer to winter.
1, 2, 3, 4. Quai likes accounting.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is Summer to Winter by Goblin Girl Orc, and it is rated M for mature. Yanina ran into Peter at the public library on Bayberry, where their initial meet-cute occurred. Much to Yanina's surprise, Peter, a math expert, enjoys attending literary events. Peter and Yanina make plans over an old-fashioned phone call before meeting in person. Yanina updates Peter that her poetry is about to get published when the two reconnect after 8 years of lost time over coffee and lunch. Lucky for Yanina, her good waitress friend Amanda is on the clock and nearby to help the situation along with dating pointers. The story switches its point of view from different he said, she said angles to get in the heads and thought bubbles of the two main characters. Follow Summer to Winter before it turns into autumn to spring and read Summer to Winter by Goblin Girl Orc, rated M.
And that was Quackcast with Summer to Winter. Thank you for that, Quai. That was very enlightening. Okay, now, Gumulus has not given us a theme. There's a theme in this. Gumulus has got a lot of worries these days. There's a lot of things on his plate, and so we're doing best-ofs for a long time. I love doing best-ofs. And this week, my best of this week is the music to Lola. So, how would I describe it? Well, where am I? Where? The essence of cool, grooving into the night, dressed in cool white, all eyes on you, bathed in soft pastel lights, restless feet throbbing, pulsing sound, stepping to the beat. So there we are. That's Lola. Take it away, Mr. Gumballs.
Awesome.
So the topic of this Quackcast is, of course, how all those weird little funny tropes, and we're going to talk about some of them, personality types, actually exist in reality. Even though the popularly, popularly people say, oh no, those are just like complete fakes. Those are fantasy things. They don't exist in reality. That's just like the male gaze or the female gaze or whatever that causes that to be, for people to exist, that's a thing. But no, that's pretty much a thing. So the elephant in the room, that's one of the main ones that people say, oh, that's totally fake, that never existed in reality. This is like a popular thing of movie directors, always. The manic pixie dream girl. And I would say not only does that actually really exist, but there's the magic pixie dream boy as well. And I've met multiple versions of all of them at different ages. And so what is the manic pixie dream girl? Well, the manic pixie dream girl is typically in film. This is like a girl in her early 20s, usually, who is very childlike in her actions. She dresses in a very kind of sexual. People say sexualized, but it's not sexualized. She dresses in a very sexy way. She talks in often a baby voice and is very interested in whimsical, silly things, and very alternative in her style. So she likes to watch weird alternative, often foreign films, things like that, as an interest in that for whatever reason. And does very whimsical things all of a sudden, like just on the spur of the moment, just says, oh, let's cross the road and take photos of ourselves, oh God, that sounds more like an influencer. Well, let's do this and pretend we're fairies. Or isn't that flower beautiful? I wish I was a flower. What do you think flowers think of? Says whimsical things like that. And people's idea is, oh no, that never exists in reality. This is just some kind of, middle-aged man's like fantasy of what his love interest would be. Oh, he's just like mentally masturbating over this weird image. Okay, look, of course that exists in reality. And there's boy versions of that too. And I've encountered women in their 40s and 50s, women, in their 20s, in their 30s who behave this way. And I've encountered men in their 20s and in their 30s and whatever who behave this way as well. And the thing is, people do this because they have generally other people to perform to. That's the whole reason behind the manic pixie dream boy, manic pixie dream girl. It's not like you wouldn't do that if there was no one to perform to be manic or alternative to. You need someone in order to impress or in order to be whimsical too. And that's usually what happens. They have someone who is able to support that behavior, and that's why they're able to do it, because that behavior is unsustainable. People cannot permanently be a manic pixie dream girl or dream boy, because the pressures, the realities of life make that really impossible to continue behaving that way. It's just you can't earn a job, you can't earn a living, you can't exist in normal, like the matrix of real life and continue behaving that way. Reality will just crush that out of you. But for a while it is sustainable, those people are able to play within it and to be all like pretend they're a little young kid and have no responsibilities, and to talk in a baby voice and to whimsical and impress people. And so I'm saying it's real, and I have come across people who do that, and some people find it charming, and for a while, but it gets very irritating very quickly. What about your guys' experience? Have you ever come across a manic pixie dream girl, manic pixie dream guy?
Yeah.
Oh, you have? Male or female?
I was male.
Oh, okay.
But I have a suspicion that I never confirmed and can't confirm because we've lost contact. That the reason that he was still male was that back at the time, like 1999, 1998, the whole trans thing or gender fluid thing was not part of the vocabulary or of the options, let's say. And he was the sweetest guy I have ever met in college, at least. He was a British guy when I was in Bradford, and he was called Max.
Oh.
And if Max, you ever listen to this by any stroke of luck, I still think of him very fondly.
Oh.
And he was he had pigtails, he had purple hair, he used to wear like these very striped shirts. When I say stripe, like horizontal stripes, like a sailor's t-shirt sort of thing that he would wear with gloves, and he had nail polish, purple nail. He liked purple a lot, purple nail polish. So he was very whimsy in that manner, and he generally was very. He was not manic in the sense of being manic, as we would say in my profession. Like he was not speaking very quickly and doing completely over the top things, but he was very, um, what we would say back at the time, artistic, quote unquote. He was very much feeling the colors, feeling the vibes. He liked to just, exist. And he was, of all the guys in college, he was the only one that had a sort of sense of community to him, and he was uh, very gently helpful. I remember when my parents sent me like this gigantic care package, because Greeks send gigantic care packages, um, especially to their kids in college, and we're talking like 30, 40 kilos weight, because it had things like edible things from the entire clan that has said. Uh, so there was no way for me to take that thing upstairs 2 stories to my dorm room. And there were at least 3 guys, pretty strong looking, that were watching me struggle with this thing, and they were just not doing anything. And this like a pixie level slight guy that was Max came and helped me to get the thing upstairs, and and he always helped me with heavy stuff, which was extremely kind of him. And he was always very polite and stuff. I really think of him very fondly. So yeah,
Right.
that was the pixie guy that I met.
What was that? A positive experience with a manic pixie dream guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
I gave him like the entire tin of cookies that
As a reward.
Yeah, that I noticed that he was eyeing them really like, oh my God, what are these? And
You know,
hug
with
them.
a manic pixie person, you should give them like a poem as a reward.
I'm terrible with poems. I'm not really. That would be a punishment. No.
What about you, Bates? Have you come across that character type? Or...
Yeah, I have heard of some here and there, and I've seen some around town who I encounter once in a while.
Oh.
There is someone when I worked in a video store years ago. I worked with a young woman who was like that. At least with me, she was like that. See, I don't know what she was like outside of that, but I think she was the same. She was emotional, and she was like excited, and she was like a hugger, and she was like really sweet, kind of multicolored hair, and a bit of a 90s alternative type, I guess.
Okay.
And I also knew a musician when I went to college who had a bit of that. She like would twitch when she had like would feel energy changing, and she was very keyed into people's emotions, and she had this like magical stage presence and great songs and everything.
Oh wow.
And she wasn't like shallow like maybe that character type is. She was very deep, and she really like opened my eyes to stuff. We used to have great conversations and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So she had a bit of that, and I don't know what she's like now, either of them, but yeah, they were wonderful, and they were real people.
Well, there you are. There you are. Yeah, I couldn't really. It's very hard to name all the versions I've met. You know, the guys who are like that, who are very colourful people and childlike, and wanting to offer you poems as kind of ways of communicating it and things like this, and then the women who've dyed their hair all different colours and dressed in these very skimpy, super sexy alternative ways and talking in baby voice. It's just, it blends into one after all. There's so many sort of people you come across. Well, especially because like I was in like university and stuff like that doing art for many years, and so that's like ground zero for that kind of thing. There's so much of that. So,
right.
Yeah. And a lot of the people I, in my life, because of my artistic background, I sort of came into contact. You always come across people like that in the artistic world. Like it's just it's full of that, men and women. So that's where they live. So the people who go, oh, that never exists in reality. No, well, perhaps you don't. You don't frequent, and maybe you've never been to university. Maybe you don't live in, artistic. You don't move in artistic circles or musical circles like Baines, because this is where they exist. They don't exist in offices normally. They don't exist in certain environments, but yes, in the arts and probably acting as well as music and academia. That provides fertile ground for them. What's another trope? One of the ones I grew up with, like when I was a child, was I grew up with a lot of American TV shows, American movies, and they have this idea of these nerds and jocks, and that was a thing I grew up with, and I thought, I don't know anybody like that. When I was growing up, that wasn't something you saw in Australia. You did not see the nerds and the jocks. In Australia that did not exist, but it was all over American TV, and it was like solidly, like they were convinced that these two tribes existed. In every single movie about high schools or about normal life, every single TV show, everywhere. And I just never saw that in real life. The only time I really saw, like, I saw glimpses of the nerdy types in people who did like AV studies, media kind of stuff in high school. Like they specialized in doing the TV and media stuff. But when I went to the States, and I went to Comic-Con for the first time. So, because I was invited by Wowio, who were like owning Drunkduck at that point, and they invited me across, and so I flew to the States and went to Comic-Con. I thought, wow, what's going on here? I'd never even known about conventions or anything. And while I was there, I was like amazed at all these people wearing their amazing cosplays and stuff, and like there weren't any like nerdy kind of people at Comic-Con. Like apparently that was meant to be a nerdy thing, but they were all like actors and gaming people and producers and stuff like that, and MMA fighters and porn stars wearing costumes. And so what the hell? This is not what I've sort of gone to expect from American media. Like these are porn stars in outfits and MMA fighters. Like what the hell? But while like I was marveling at all these like fantastic people in their amazing costumes, I was walking through this great big corridor, and there were these all these people in the hallway sort of posing for a photo, as happens frequently at Comic-Con San Diego. And while they were doing that, this hunched over figure with a backpack full of posters standing up straight in his backpack, and a too tight t-shirt that his belly was protruding outwards, and he had very, very thick Coke bottle glasses, and he was hunched over, and he was like frowning, and he stormed through with his little elbows cocked and his knees bent, and oh my god, he's wearing shorts and everything like that, and he said, "Oh, get out of my way, you shouldn't be here." And I thought, oh my god, he is like the nerdy type that I've heard like fabled since the 80s. There he is. There he is. I can't believe it.
The nerd has appeared. Has manifested.
The ultra rare Pokemon. My God. That's him. That's the one. I'd never seen it before, and I thought, oh my God, that is the exaggerated version from all the TV shows and everything that actually existed. And I thought to myself, he was a far more interesting character to me than all these, like, you know, sexy people in their outfits and stuff like that, because he was this genuine, bizarre thing that I'd seen in movies and TV shows, and here he was in reality. Whereas all these, like, actors and fighters and whatever, like, they're a dime a dozen. There's a million of them, but there's only one of this guy, and he's real, and he is what I've been promised. So he was a treasured sight. He was amazing. So yes, I will always remember him. Fantastic sight. So what about you guys? Have you come across, like, when I was growing up in the 80s, like the nerds and the jocks? I never come across a jock character. Never. But I've met a nerd guy. So what about you guys? Did you come across that in TV when growing up? Or?
Although I went to an American style high school, we didn't really have that because it was Greek American. So
Okay.
yeah, the structure of the courses and the lessons and all of that was American, but the content was very Greek. And of course, 90% of the kids were Greek. So the culture was Greek, basically, with like an American twist thrown in, I guess. So we had, we never had like a football team like rugby. I mean, we had soccer, and of course, basketball was really big and stuff. But we never had the idea of jocks versus nerds. First of all, because the culture in Greece is that if you have a GPA lower than 14 out of 20, which is, I think, I'll do the math real quick on my phone because, yeah. So if you had a GPA that was lower than 70%, you were a loser. And so nobody cared if you could shoot a hoop really well.
Right.
So in order to be a jock, you had to at least have a 14 out of 20 GPA average. So there was this idea, like nerds had prestige by being a 20 out of 20 or 19 out of 20 GPA. And so anything a nerd would do or not do was eccentric. The people that were in the mid-tier were the normal people. So, that's where you would find jock types, like people that really liked sports and stuff. And then you had the underclass of people that scored below 14 out of 20. And they were the losers. And I guess that would be the quote unquote tribe that was ostracized versus everybody else that was mainstream or with the cool kids. Like the cool kids were depended a lot on the cohort. Like my cohort had a gaggle of girls that were the cool kids, like queen bees, but they were not being like super fashionable or whatever. They were just being. I don't even realize why they were supposed to be the cool ones. I guess they had good PR. They were very well organized. And so they were the cool ones for wearing pricey jeans, I think, and very specific. Yeah, and very specific type of Timberlands that were yellow.
Yeah, it's
yellow.
whatever's fashionable, basically.
Yeah. So they were the cool ones, the ones that were in fashion, but they were not really overly pretty. They were not anything special beyond that. And not being in the cool girl queen bee tribe didn't really mean anything as well. So we were very underwhelming as a Greek school in terms of that. We didn't really have this like super heated rivalry of bullying. Like bullying happened a lot, but it was very case by case basis. So it was not stereotypical. So yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, what about you, Bones, with the jocks and the nerds? Was this something you came across in American TV or Canadian TV, and then ever found any real examples?
Well, on American TV and movies, definitely. Yeah, and I think similar to Tans, like I didn't see real rivalry between the groups, like jocks tormenting nerds or whatever. Like it wasn't like that, but there were definitely divisions, and you could tell by the fashion that people wore. You would have preps or preppies. They had like, they'd wear brightly colored sweaters. They'd dress like Don Johnson in Miami Vice, and khaki pants and sort of that kind of thing. And then you'd have headbangers. They wore like darker colors and jean jackets or leather jackets and hoodies. Not hoodies, but like hooded sweatshirts. It wasn't hoodies like later. This is a long time ago.
Yeah.
But they would be more sort of the street-wise types, or that was their appearance anyway.
Yeah, that's what they wanted to evoke.
Yeah, and we would have jocks for sure. That there wasn't like an idea of them being bullies. There was plenty of bullying and fighting and stuff, but as a group, it didn't seem to be that way. We definitely had jocks who were really just literally jocks. They were really good athletes, and they were runners and really good at sports. And
okay.
And then people, like Tance also said, people sort of who were struggling socially and struggling academically. That's what I was. And I would kind of go back and forth fashion-wise between headbanger attire and preppy attire. I would kind of, I didn't really belong. I was never a jock. I had no athletic ability. But yeah, I would kind of float back and forth.
The Baines chameleon.
But, I guess just not really 100% fitting in anywhere. Which is okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
It helps you become a spy in real life. That's what you are now.
That early training.
We know that's exactly what Baines is. He's a spook for at least the government.
It helps you becomes James Bond.
Putting that out on this podcast is just a smokescreen.
Speaking of, not fitting in, I mean, I didn't fit in any group either. Like, I was very much a loner in high school, and I would say that maybe I was a stereotype for others in the sense that I had this very, very characteristic pink glasses that were a little bit tear-shaped, like a librarian's, that I would wear for reading, and I was always with my nose in a book and ready to hiss at anyone that approached me because I usually didn't like what I saw of my classmates. So, anyone that was coming to me and didn't open with, hi, I need your help with XYZ, I was ready to hiss at, basically.
So you didn't like get encouraged to come up to a guy that you sort of liked and then pull your like ponytail out and take your glasses off and flick your hair around and glow up the way the kids say these days. You didn't turn into that trope.
No, never. I just remained, be spectacle bookworm.
Mm.
So yeah. The only thing that I subverted the trope, I guess, was that if you cornered me and got 3 warnings, then I would beat you up.
You're actually a bully. So the trope
Yeah,
about the sexy librarian type is wrong. She's actually a demon.
I, I, I actually didn't hesitate to hit people if they didn't. Like, I gave 3 warnings. Like, if you don't stop, I'll hit you. 3 times. And then I hit them because that was the warning.
That's weird. That's
Yeah.
interesting now that you say that, because when I was in school, I'd been brought up by that American stuff of like this jocks and nerds, and in reality, I never just didn't exist in my school. But there were various different groups. You had surfers, and one of the schools, they were all surfers, and they just talked about being a surfy, and then because there's lots of beaches here and lots of hot weather and all that kind of stuff. And then there was the skates, the skaters. And so I went to high school like in the late 80s, early 90s. And in Australia there was a group called the Bogans. Now, Bogan now in Australia just means anyone who is underclass, who is low class. And that just means millions and millions of people, and some people identify that as that and use it as a badge of honor, and other people use it as a term of criticism for whoever they don't like. But back then in the 80s, that was not a social class. It was just a term that people would use, self-identify only, and it was a term people would use like for metalheads, basically. That was what they called themselves, metalheads. Called themselves Bogans. Hello, mouse. Yes, I've got to feed you. But yeah, that was interesting, and they would identify themselves by wearing their typical uniform, which was black tight jeans, so tight, skin tight jeans, black desert boots, a black leather jacket with a kind of not leather jacket. Sometimes a black leather jacket, usually a green battle dress jacket, which is a very short British battle dress. A short jacket. It's olive green, and it would always have a heavy metal heavy metal patch sewn to the back that their mum had sewn to their backs for them. Like with AC/DC, Black Sabbath, I don't know, Guns N' Roses, something like that on their back. And they usually have one earring, and the earring had to be in the left ear. If it was the right ear, that was not good at that stage. It had to be the left ear. And so those were the Bogans. That was a specific group. And my social position back then was like I would fit in with every group. Like whenever there was a group, I would just automatically fit in, and they would consider me one of their own for some reason. So... Oh, no. Yeah, whether it was the Bogans, or whether it was the preppy rich kids, or whether it was the super popular ones, or whether it was like the dorks. Hello, mouse. I would fit in with every single one of those groups very easily for some reason, and because that's whatever personality type I had then. Yeah. But yeah, that was interesting. Though there's only one person from back then that I would describe as the jock type, but he was such a freaking dumbass that no one respected him.
Well, isn't that part of the stereotype?
I don't know. The jocks are usually respected in American in these stereotypes, but this guy was like physically, oh my god, he was like a god. The muscles everywhere. Like, oh my Jesus Christ, he was built like anything. But he was such a freaking dumbass that, like, you could not respect him. So, unless he was playing sport, then he was very good at that. But, yeah. He was a god in sport, but everywhere else, yeah. So that was my experience of that. Okay, so what other stereotypes can we think of that we've come across in our lives? Or, not that we've come across it, that we know from fiction. Alright, so I like the super the super sexy seductress character. Now this is another one that, the male gaze has come up with this one, the male gaze. But, like, in my experience as a functioning human being, I've come across plenty of, usually women who do this, because men don't normally, culturally, men don't normally fall into this pattern, but women will sometimes fall into this pattern, and they're not like this in shut up, mouse, I will feed you. They're not like this every instance, but they can put on that behavior in order to achieve, some desired objective. And yeah, I've known women like this. Like a lot of my good friends have put on that kind of behavior in order to get the to bag the man that they wanted or something like that. So yeah, that has a
Okay, so a bit of a funny story again from my school days, because that's where I actually really saw the consistently trying to be the seductress type and failing, by the way. Like, just letting you know. I had this classmate who she looked like such a nerd. Oh my God. Like, she was in very thick myopic glasses, very short hair that was not, in any type of actual cut. It was just short hair. And the only thing that she had going for her was that she was very thin, which, again, she was not the only one in the class being a thin person. But somehow she had this idea that she was drop dead gorgeous. And she would be sort of rubbing up against the boys during recess. And I don't know. I mean, it was, I got secondhand embarrassment every time I saw her. And she was part of the popular cool girls that I mentioned. And because she was part of that group, she was entertained, quote unquote, by quite a few guys that wanted to get in and get in the graces of the queen bee at the time. So she got encouraged that, her wives were seducing people. So that's not the trope we're talking about. I don't know what kind of trope it is, but she was very sort of going through the moves of the trope. The sashaying walk, the bedtime eyes, I don't know, bedroom eyes, the weird smile, all of the things. The leaning on the desk, all of that. So, yeah.
Oh, interesting. What about you, Bates? Have you come across that before?
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, but this is one where I'm like, that's not all the person is. I've seen that people behaving that way in a context,
Yeah.
And if it's someone they like, or if they have some goal, they're trying to, they're interested in the person or something like that. Occasionally, you would see someone who's behaving that way with everybody, and that is, that's a little off-putting because it's so fake,
Sometimes when you get that, when someone's behaving like that with everybody, it usually involves alcohol. If somebody's drawn to behaving like that and they drink a lot, suddenly, oh my god, they just turn it on and they become that super sedecty, sexy seductress kind of character.
Yeah, that's because they're looking for something. They're looking for some kind of whatever they're trying to get, validation, or they want to feel better about themselves, or like there could be anything going on. They could be really sad and they're trying to lift their sense of self-worth or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know, like when alcohol will change people, and it will you drop the inhibitions, and the behavior is not deliberate. It's sort of just like it exaggerates things that are there. So I don't know how else to explain it, but yeah, it some people become just exaggerated versions of themselves. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I just become very interested in gravity and dance.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen you fight against gravity and lose against it.
Yes. Yeah, that is because I was wearing my especially high heels. That's why I lost the gravity.
I have video proof.
I know you do. I know you do. It's black magic.
No, you're a very good dancer until you fall over.
Well, I was drunk. That's my excuse for that. So.
Well, it's better than me. I didn't even get up and do the dance. I was too ashamed, afraid.
You were not drunk enough. You were not drunk enough. That's why.
Yeah.
You should have. That would have been a lot of fun for you. I would guarantee it. So.
Yes, I was just too scared because it's like, okay, so these are Greek people doing a traditional Greek dance, and I thought, yeah, that's a good way to absolutely humiliate myself, as well as like denigrate their like traditional dance by drunkenly being a buffoon and messing up everything from two different angles at the same time. Great.
There was no way we would let you mess up. And also, it was not that, it was not the hard ones that we were dancing. So,
yeah.
And when I fell over, I just sprang back up again and continued.
Yes, and you certainly did.
Yeah.
It's like nothing had happened. It certainly did.
Exactly.
So what other character tropes? Well, okay, the male version of that, which is the super suave guy. Hey, baby, let me tell you about my fast car, and I'm so rich, and I have this, and I have this house over here, and I have this. Oh my god, those guys so totally freaking exist.
Oh my god,
so many, and it works too. Like it absolutely works on some people, not on everybody, obviously, but it works on their certain people. So yeah. Have you come across them, Baines?
Oh sure, I see them, and I will say the people I know, like the guys I know who are really successful with romance or who have all the options, are not really like that.
Exactly.
They're very cool. They're very authentic. And they are not flawless as people at all, but they have something deeper going on that works a lot better. When I see the guy with the car and the clothes, it's just so obviously acting, and they have success. That is so weird. That's so weird and off-putting. Once again, it feels so fake, and it's weird that it works, and it's I do see it, but I don't know anyone really well who's like that.
Yeah, because if
Like
they
it-
have like some sort of like tryst or whatever based on that performance, it means it's always going to be really super frickin' shallow because it means that person put all that effort into creating an image in order to attract client. That means that they don't give a shit about that specific person that they've attracted. They're going to move on to the next one right away as soon as they can. That's the whole point of it, or else all that effort is wasted. It's to keep on doing that and always having shallow kind of encounters. That's what they're about. So it's a bit of a waste, really,
And
unless that's what they want.
I remember, like I have come across my share of these people, and honestly, it never works. At least for me, it never works. It turns me off so quickly. It's insane how quickly it turns me off, and has always been turning me off. Like there was a period in my life, in my 20s, like mid 20s, I want to say, that I was a platinum blonde. Uh, oh yeah, long platinum blonde hair, and the whole blonde bombshell sort of um, parameter set, let's say.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to see how I was blonde, and then I didn't want to immediately not do it because it cost too much to do it. Anyway, so for a couple of years, I kept their color, the hair color and stuff. And the thing that I noticed was that guys looked at the long blonde hair and they sort of felt that it was an invitation, a mating call. I don't know. And so I had a lot of people walk up to me, even like in the college cafeteria and stuff, and sort of try to hit on me with literal pickup lines that you uh, cringe at in movies, like
Wow.
sort of
Did it
yeah,
hurt
like one of
when
the
you
most
fell to earth?
yeah. Oh my God! Yes, yes, things like that. And they always had the worst time. Like when I was having a really bad day and I wanted to be left alone, some idiot like that would come up to me with a line like that. I don't know how they could manage that. Anyway, um, and I remember there was this one time when I went to a Latin um, pub, I want to say, like, but it also had dancing area that you could dance Latin dances or learn Latin dances as well. It was a very, very nice club. And I went with my parents because we had it was a night of work. We wanted to go for a cocktail and we went there. And so but that doesn't mean my parents don't really dance, but I dance. And so I was dancing around with different people. And so there was this one guy that asked for a dance, and it's rude not to accept.
Yeah.
So I accepted. And he had this whole very bank clerk that wants to convince you that they own the bank sort of feel to him.
Wow.
He had this gigantic gold watch on his hand and all that, like very tacky, very and the aftershave was very
Very strong.
pungent.
Yes.
Anyway, and I remember like he was really good at dancing though. He was dancing really really well. However, his moves were so rough, and I remember that he dipped me backwards. And it was really uncomfortable. And the one thing, and I have never thought about this thing with any other person, but the thought that flashed through my mind was, this guy must be really bad at sex because
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
yeah, because his moves, he wasn't interested in making me feel comfortable. He wanted to be cool with a move, you know.
Yes.
And it was like if he's like this with dancing, imagine, anything else.
Yeah,
And
so it's a bit of a Morpheus then.
yeah, I think we would be underselling Morpheus at this point, like poor guy. But yeah, and so I told him the one thing that would turn him off, and was like, I'm gonna go talk to my mom now. Thank you.
Oh.
So yeah, and he never asked me again, which was excellent.
Dear. So we're coming towards the end of our cast. I remembered another character trope, which is something that always pops up. The gay fellow who's like super manic, and is like it's like very, very girly and feminine. That kind of gay fellow. I don't know, Mouse. Yeah, that's Mouse is saying he's that character. I've definitely met many of those people. Although in fiction, those people tend to be very very fit and very good looking, and in reality, they can be very fit and very good looking, but those are the minority. Most of those kind of super manic feminine gay fellows I've met are very average normal people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a trope, but then again, that's another thing. So fiction often like super stereotypes gay people as being all that kind of feminine, kind of hyper and good looking, but the gay people I've known in reality, yeah, sure, that is represented. It's represented by some, but I've also known gay people who are just like indistinguishable from any straight person, and aren't. They're just masculine. They're not bears. They're not the ones who super hairy and all that kind of hyper masculine. They're just ordinary, just like any cis man kind of thing. They are cis men, but they're yeah. So that's the thing that media doesn't tend to like that vision of gayness. They need gay people to be identifiably gay. Unfortunately, they're not allowed to just be gay, but also be themselves. And that goes for men and also women. See, not all gay women are truck driver, tobacco chewing, short haired people like that, or super sexy porn star, that version. They're just ordinary, indistinguishable from anybody else. So yeah, that's where fiction goes the other way. Yes, the stereotypes do exist, but also that doesn't totally define all those people.
Definitely.
Important. Yeah. How about you, Baines? What's your any particular last kind of trope you'd come up with?
Well, I will say for that, yeah, I've seen that too. And once again, I'll make a distinction between someone who is actually like that, and that's their personality. The sort of dramatic gestures and sort of very, so to speak, effeminate behavior or something like that. Sometimes it's like that's who a person really is. And even though I'm not great at seeing someone's agenda, I take people at face value generally, but even I can see when that behavior is fake. That's when it's off-putting. Same as the femme fatale or the bully. Well, the bully is always off-putting, but the fake tough guy versus the real tough guy. I know both.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Jeez.
The fake personality or the real personality is like that. Just with this whole topic, that's what is uppermost in my mind with this stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes people are like, they see the version in fiction and they think, oh, I will copy the fictional version because that's what I imagine that personality type should be.
Yeah.
That's weird, isn't it?
You definitely see it a lot in younger people in particular, but even older people will do it. Yeah, they're trying to be something or find themselves or fit in or something like that. So,
Yeah.
But I do agree that these things exist. Like the super tough person who's really like hard nosed and like not necessarily an intelligence agent or something, but like a Jack Bauer type who's just like seems to be just one thing, and you talk to them for 20 minutes and you know them. I know people like that. And it's like you seem like an awesome comic book character, but you're a real person, and I know you really well. I know you're really like that.
Yes. Yeah, the Batman type in reality.
Yeah.
All that kind of thing. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I never thought about that aspect. Shit. Well, so this has been the character tropes cast, I think. The character tropes versus reality. Interesting. Oh, I think we and this is like an endless subject. We could go into it more, and I could do even more mispronunciations of common words. So.
That's what we tune in for.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, this Quackcast has come to an end, and I have to go and feed Mouse before he screams and smashes all the windows in my house with his incredibly powerful screams. All right. Bye-bye, people.
Bye-bye.
Bye.